We've got some bombshell breaking news here from the Wall Street Journal. It turns out that Donald Trump's name has appeared multiple times in the Epstein files. According to the Journal, in May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files, the official said. Many other high-profile figures were also named, Trump was told. Being mentioned in the records isn't a sign of wrongdoing, which shines a pretty damning light on this quote by Donald Trump last week, suggesting that he was not informed that his name was in the files.
On Epstein, the Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI's review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you on that.
What?
On the DOJ and FBI review.
What subject?
Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi briefed you on that.
Very quick brief.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the files?
She's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release, yeah.
Notice how he barrels through that question about whether he was informed about being in the files. He knew full well by then, mid-July, that he was in the files. Again, he was told in May, but he spread straight disinformation because he was trying to save his own ass. Or how about this post from Trump's attorney, David Schoen? I was hired to lead Jeffrey Epstein's defense as his criminal lawyer 9 days before he died. He sought my advice for months before that. I can say authoritatively, unequivocally, and definitively that he had no information to hurt President Trump. I specifically asked him. So did Trump lie to his attorney, or was his attorney fully aware of the truth but lying to everybody else on Trump's behalf? Doesn't really matter which one. What matters is that it is clear by now Trump engaged in a systematic effort to manipulate his supporters by collecting people who would lie on his behalf. And to that point, the article goes on to say, quote, FBI Director Kash Patel has privately told other government officials that Trump's name appeared in the files, according to people close to the administration. Patel declined to answer an inquiry from the Journal about the Epstein case, but said in a statement that the memo on the Justice Department website explaining why the department wouldn't release more Epstein documents was consistent with the thorough review conducted by the FBI and DOJ. Which means that both Pam Bondi and Kash Patel have known for months that Trump's name was in the Epstein files, and not only did they not make that information known, but they've been actively trying to train our attention elsewhere. Pam Bondi literally pretended that she could get a federal judge to unseal grand jury testimonies that she knew judges don't have the legal authority to unseal. But she did it anyway because she was just that desperate to train everybody's attention away from Donald Trump, who, by the way, she literally knew was in the files at that point. In fact, she made her announcement that the case was closed after the revelation that Trump was contained within the files.
We released the video showing definitively. The video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
That's it? Well, apparently not. Hey, remind me, what do you call it when you know someone is implicated in criminal behavior and use your position of power to ensure that no one else has any transparency into that involvement? Would that be called a cover-up? Because it sure does seem that way. Which may explain why the administration didn't seem especially interested in the fact that the footage of Epstein's cell was literally doctored.
This headline from Wired reads, the FBI's Jeffrey Epstein prison video had nearly 3 minutes cut out. According to Wired, newly uncovered metadata reveals a 2-minute and 53-second chunk was removed from what the federal government called raw footage. So joining me live now is Dhruv Mehrotra, an investigative data reporter for Wired, and the author of that piece. Dhruv, thanks for being here. First things first, how did you figure out about this missing chunk, and how was that video then edited?
Yeah, so on Monday, the DOJ and FBI released what it called raw surveillance footage from an area adjacent to the special housing unit where Jeffrey Epstein was found dead. And soon after they released the data, we downloaded the files that the DOJ released and looked into sort of the hidden information that's embedded in most digital files that can show you a bit about how and when something was created, edited, or saved. It's kind of like a video's digital paper trail. And in this case, the metadata showed the footage had been edited using Adobe Premiere Pro, which is a professional editing tool, and it was saved several times and stitched together from two separate clips.
And of course, the Trump administration responded to the story with the usual protests and denials, with White House Communications Director Stephen Chung saying, quote, "This is another fake news story, just like the previous story by the Wall Street Journal." But if it's fake, why doesn't the White House simply release the files? They've literally got the proof. The files could directly refute what they say are false claims, and yet they refuse to release it? What does that tell us? If they've got in their possession the supposed truth, but won't show that truth to anybody, what message does that send? This isn't rocket science, it is a cover-up. The Wall Street Journal went on to report, quote, "In a statement to the Journal on Friday, Bondi and the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, said nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. As part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings," they said. How about that? The former Florida Attorney General chosen by Trump because she would validate his fake stolen election claims, and Trump's personal criminal defense attorney both have decided that nothing warrants further investigation or prosecution. How lucky for someone who was suddenly found out to be in the files. I guess it's all good then, huh? The reality is that we saw this coming from a mile away. The reason Trump has been screaming relentlessly about Obama and Hillary Clinton and Coca-Cola and the Washington Commanders is because he was desperate to hide exactly this. And all of his little minions in the DOJ and the administration and Congress and the Senate were perfectly content to help cover up what we now know is Trump being implicated in the files of a known pedophile. That's who all of these people enabled. That's who they helped. They helped cover up a pedophile ring. They have sub-zero credibility when it comes to talking about family values or protecting kids, because the only ones helping hide this information, the only ones helping hide these heinous crimes are them. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.